Hi, I'm Lindsay, and this is Kinda Healthy Podcast. If someone asked you if you had any hobbies, what would you say? Many people find themselves stuck in the daily work, sleep, repeat cycle. One way to end the monotony is to focus on a hobby that's enjoyable and helps you pass the time in a meaningful way. I'm too busy. We do a good job of convincing ourselves that we're super busy. Lots of things contribute to this. But for a lot of people, being legitimately busy simply isn't one of them. Instead, we habitually waste time creating the illusion of busyness. Facebook, email, Netflix, pick your poison. We don't wake up in the morning with the goal of wasting so much time on social media, but it often happens. Hobbies can help you structure your time. According to Parkinson's law, work expands as to fill the time available for its completion, or things take as much time as you have. So when the evening stretches out before you unscheduled, you could take all night to get one thing done, but if you had something else you needed to do that night, chances are you could get both things done. While adding an activity to your list of things to do might seem like it could create more stress, it's actually a great outlet to release stress. When you focus on a non-work related task, you're able to get into the flow of it, and your stress can fade away. Your hobby should be a completely pleasurable activity that allows you to take your mind off of the demands of your daily life or negative emotions. It's a healthy and productive distraction from your work or personal troubles. Imagine a rough day at work. Coming home and turning on the TV may provide a brief distraction, but it doesn't address your damaged ego head on. Imagine after work you go for a run or a pottery class. These activities are more than just distracting. They remind you that there are many facets to your self-concept. Employee, yes, but also an athlete or an artist. So a blow to one aspect of your identity is less damaging because all your eggs aren't in one basket. Some people may think that hobbies are unproductive, but they can make you more competitive in the workplace. Beginning in the late 1950s, a psychology professor studied the effects of hobbies on the lives of 40 male scientists over 20 years. The professor found that the most successful scientists were more likely to engage in hobbies involving imagination, hands-on type activities, art, and music. Different types of hobbies have been linked to different outcomes. For example, doodling can improve memory by 29%. People who read books have more activity in the part of the brain associated with language and intelligence. And for cardiovascular exercise, that improves cognition and mental performance. Creative hobbies have been shown to enhance performance and problem-solving abilities. One study from San Francisco State University found that people who often engaged in creative activities scored 15 to 30% higher on performance rankings. They were also more likely to come up with creative solutions to on-the-job problems. A hobby can also help decrease your chances of becoming burned out at work. If your entire routine consists of work and home with no other stimulation to your brain, you are going to get bored. So if you spend time after work focusing on your hobby, you'll give your mind a chance to focus on something specific instead of what happened at work. And that can help you go to work the next day refreshed. People say that when you choose a hobby, you should choose something opposite of what you do for work. So maybe if you write, you should try something like cooking to make different parts of your brain active. But you might already have an idea of something you'd like to do. So go ahead and jump into that. Because once you start putting time into something you want to do, you'd be surprised how far it can take you with that. I've heard a lot of times about people who started a business unwittingly because they just decided to bake some family and friends some cookies. And word of mouth spreads and people like what they do. And so all of a sudden they start getting asked for all these orders. I think it shows a lot of times when you do something because you love doing it. I think people can tell that in the end product. And you may be overwhelmed with the amount that you're being asked for, but at the same time, you still do it because you like to do it. And so it doesn't seem like really hard work. I know that with me, I like to do paintings, but I would go to art shows and they would want to do interviews with you. And one of the questions they always wanted to ask was, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Or what does this art say about you? And I never really had any good answers to that because I always felt like this was just something I liked to do on the side. It was just something I did for my own enjoyment. I mean, honestly, I did just keep them to myself most of the time, but I figured why not show them here and there if I had them already. But yeah, I always felt like I didn't have a good answer to it because my answer was I didn't really plan on doing anything. I was going to keep doing it, but I wasn't doing it in order to get somewhere else. But on the other hand, I do have an example of doing something for fun that did kind of pay off. A few years ago, I saw a commercial for a costume contest on a kids channel, and they were going to pick one person from each state, and they were going to take them all out to California. And so I decided, oh, well, I could do that. And within maybe 2 or 3 days, we slapped together this costume and entered it. It was like really close to the deadline of even entering it. And we did, and we were accepted, and we got to fly out to California and stay there for a few days. And it was an amazing experience. But I could have just as easily have, overthought it and decided not to do it. I probably wouldn't win. So don't limit yourself in what you want to do or try. Go for it. And working on a fun project like that really gets you into the zone and gets that flow kind of going. And you can start to lose track of time. You get wrapped up in the project. You're having so much fun or you're so focused on it. And that can be really helpful too if you're trying to lose weight because it can help you take your mind off of it. A lot of times I see people who are trying to lose weight and they're thinking about it too much. They're making it too much part of, every action they do. And it can be really daunting when you do that because it's everything you're thinking about and it's all you're talking about sometimes. But if you take your mind off of it, it can be a lot easier and just kind of fall into place on its own. I think a lot of times people overthink it, and a lot of times a problem is boredom. If you're bored, you're more likely to eat just because. But if you're focused on a project and thinking about that, then it keeps your mind off of it for a good amount of time. I don't like it when I see people seemingly building their personality around the way they eat or what their diet is. I feel like instead of zeroing in on it so hard, it's better for you to branch out and have other interests and other ways you define yourself instead of sticking so hard to that. Because when you do have an off day or maybe you eat something that's not on your plan, it can make you feel like a hypocrite because it goes against everything you said that you were about. And it can add an element of fear that other people will notice and point it out, and an element of shame and make you more upset with yourself and be harder on yourself because you couldn't stick to what you said. And in my experience, those are the type of people who are also extra hard on the people that they're around. They're the people that might be like, oh, you ate what? Or you let your child eat this or that? Because they're being so restrictive with themselves and they're on a diet, so everybody else around them needs to be on a diet and putting in the same effort that they are because they don't really want to be doing it. Because if they did, they would be more at peace with it, I would think, and not become the diet police. So it's that thing again about if you fail on it, it hurts your ego, and your identity shouldn't be dependent on one aspect of your life. There are a lot of benefits to hobbies. They can give us a feeling of a better quality of life. They can help us grow as individuals. They can make us smarter, more creative, and keep our minds young. So what should you choose as a new hobby? Maybe there's something you always wanted to do, or maybe there's something you used to love that you stopped doing. Whatever it is, take the time to reconnect with your creativity. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week.